What's up?
Matthieu Dubreucq, let's go. How you doing, my brother?
Awesome. Enjoying
Awesome.
enjoying the winter.
That's what I'm seeing. Where are you going? You're in your car.
No, I'm just in the car, so it's quiet and all this. I'm skiing.
Okay, you're actually up north skiing right now?
Yeah, up north, Valley Bleu.
Let's go. Okay,
Same
so
color
listen.
as your suit.
Sorry, same color as my suit. Then in that case, listen, we're gonna jump into it because I don't want to hold you that long, and we have
Oh
so many
man, I'm
things
having
to.
fun anyway. It's fine. It's
You
fine.
having fun? That's what's up. So before going into it, Matt, I just want to say first of all, I found out that it is your anniversary. So congratulations to you and Virginie. You guys have been together for how long?
16 years.
Wow, 16 years, two beautiful kids. So man, I just wanted to highlight that right off the bat. And that's actually something that I did want to talk about that we will dive into. But before doing so, let me just introduce Matthieu to my community. Matthieu Dubreucq is a owner and the head coach of CrossFit Laval, as well as an entrepreneur and so many other things that are linked up with everything that has to do with the health and wellness industry. And we'll dive into that, as well as my business partner and something that we will talk about in a bit. And for Matthew's community that maybe knows me or maybe doesn't, my name is Christopher Dedeyan. I'm a professional speaker and a peak performance business and life coach. So Matthieu, let's dive into it. First and foremost, let me just ask you, how are you feeling with the fact that the gyms are closed? Now they've mentioned that you obviously are a gym owner, CrossFit gym owner. How are you dealing with that? How did you shift your business from essentially not having access to your clients necessarily face to face, but going maybe more on an online thing? How did that whole process happen for you?
That's a good question. I mean, the first time we closed down, I honestly, I don't, probably no one could have foreseen that it was going to be for that long. So I kind of just took it easy and say, oh, that's going to be like, 30 days where I can take a break and I'm just going to read a couple more books. And so I didn't plan anything. And then I kind of panic. I'll be honest. I kind of panic because I realized, okay, this is not just a 30-day thing. And it took a while for us to like know exactly what the government was going to do to help out and all this. So I could start to see like a lot of stress coming my way because I was a bit afraid that my gym was 10 years. That was the 10th year of my gym, and I was scared that it would collapse. Because I was like, okay, it's unknown. I don't know what's going to happen. And that's when I decided to just do the same thing that I would do for anyone in that situation if I was their coach. And I was like, okay, well, let's control what we can control and then deal with the rest. And I was like, I for sure cannot control when the government's going to decide that we open or when the pandemic is going to be over. But what I can control is how can I pivot, my business and shift towards some new territory, right? And just like use that opportunity that yes was stressful and yes is unfortunate, but at the same time it's a blessing because you're forced to just do what we used to say in sailing is that if you want to learn what floats, then just grab your boat, go 5 mile offshore, punch a hole in the hull, you're going to start sinking, and then very quickly you're going to learn how to make a life raft because you have no choice, right? And that's pretty much what I did with my business. The second time we closed down, I told well, you guys, you're a member. I told all the members, all the coaches, I'm like, guys, I'm stopping all the membership. I'm punching a hole in my boat. And then now it's our opportunity to come up with something great and survive, or just sink. And just like any captain of a ship, you're just going to sink with a ship. You accept that, and that's just part of life, and we pulled it off. Like we have an online platform now with 80 subscribers, and
Let's go.
I'm 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 delighted to see that like this type of platform actually works because I'll be honest, I was really skeptical myself, like at first, but
Okay.
like we said, I was really skeptical that you could provide a service that I would be proud of giving. And I'm not saying that there are some services that are not good. I'm just saying that it's not necessarily, you have a certain level of standards, and it's the same thing for you and your business, and you want to be proud of what
Offering.
you offer, because you don't want the people to, that's your reputation, right? And so I was skeptical that I was going to be able to be proud. I was doing it because I had no choice, but in the back of my mind, I was always a little bit worried about, is this, align with my vision and with the product I've got people used to. And I'm really happy that like it actually works, like the results are there,
Are you proud
clients
of
are
it?
happy. Yeah,
Saying that right now, are you
so I'm
proud of
proud of it.
the
Oh,
result?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
very proud of the results. I have
Awesome.
no problem putting my name next to it, like.
That's what's up. As long as you can find something that you're comfortable with, because like you said, as an entrepreneur, the main thing that I thoroughly believe is bringing immense amount of value. And I know you as a coach, as obviously you've coached me my whole, let's call it CrossFit career, if I can even say that. I know how just passionate you are about the sport and how you approach it. So to have that element, even though you're not necessarily physically there with people, I'm sure you're excelling at it. So man, congratulations in helping people just stay in shape among this certain time that we don't have access to the gym. So awesome job with that. And honestly though, all that being said, I'm so excited for the gyms to open up. Like, I mean, I'm jonesing about that. And as you know, for people, once again, we're kind of going to go a little tangent on CrossFit, but that's not all we're going to talk about, people. But I just want to finish off with this. For a CrossFit community, we have the CrossFit Opens coming up, which essentially it's once a year. Everybody could sign up and do this particular workout. So 3-4 workouts in a row. And then it gives you essentially a certain score amongst the worldwide ranking. And then you could potentially go to the next level and finally go to the last step, which is the CrossFit Games, which at this point is legit professional athletes that go there. Matt, tell me about the new style right now. What do you think is going to happen with the CrossFit Opens? The fact that there's a lot of people that are going to be in the, working out from home. Do you think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to sign up? What would you suggest for people to do that maybe don't feel as motivated, but they have done CrossFit before? What would you talk about that when it comes to the Opens that's coming up literally next week?
I think it's a fantastic opportunity to just dive back into the real reason of why you work out. I think that there is probably only, if we talk about our country, Canada, there's probably like 50 athletes, guys, girls, masters, or teens included, that can really say they have a chance to go to the CrossFit Games. And everyone else has always been doing it to prove to themselves that they can push beyond what they thought possible, and to use this as a tracking of their improvement. And so that didn't change, right? It doesn't matter if you're going to do it with equipment, without equipment, at home or in the gym. The real purpose of why you're doing it is still true to this day. And I think all the rest is basically like you making excuses. What I mean by that is you just use the opportunity to say, oh, but I haven't been training as much, so I won't do it. That's an excuse. That's not, and that is not something that is out of your control. And so that's an excuse. So I really think that, without going hard on people, I'd say that it's very important to stay true to why you did it all the years before. And that reason is still true to this day. I mean, I'm not training as hard, even though I have like a gym, like you said, like you can't wait for the gym to reopen, because that community aspect, me training with my training partners, being able to bug you about your score, you bug me about my score, and then we just like, throw down and all this. That aspect is not there right now. So that could be an excuse. Oh, you know what? I'm not at the top of my game. I don't want people to see me at a less than ideal state. Who cares? That's an excuse. Just face your fears, just go for it. And yeah, that's the same way that we would coach people in business, right? It's
I love it.
never the perfect time to start your business or to do your expansion or to like whatever, do a new move. And same thing, it's never the perfect time to do the open or to start your fitness journey. But there's a saying, right? If you want to be able to have shade from a tree, you should have planted the tree 15 years ago, and the next best time is now, right?
Exactly.
Because if you keep waiting, so it's the same thing. If you want to be fit, but it was 15 years ago, you should have started. I get it, but the next best time is right now.
So essentially, the whole thing is whatever situation you're in, just jump in, do it. It really doesn't matter if you're doing it from home. It doesn't matter if a couple of months ago you were more in shape because the pandemic wasn't present or you had access to the gym. And yeah, so I love that. And I hopefully like the community is going to kind of, you know, rally around this and still jump in. So that is amazing, Matt. And at the same time, like I said, I wanted to kind of talk to you about the fact that you're a father. And I had a very specific question. And the reason why I wanted to kind of talk about this is because, listen, I wish in my life in the future, mid to near future, let's call it, that I'll become a father. And I'm going to come and ask you a specific question when I become a father. And the reason why that is because I have so many great fathers, like father figures around me, towards my father, towards my brother-in-law, towards my friends that are fathers. And there's so many things that I can learn from them. But there's something specific about you that you do differently as a father. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you have an idea of what I'm talking about that I'm going to approach you and be like, yo, how come you do it like this? How do you do it like that? Do you have an idea or you have no idea what I'm talking about?
No, I'm not too sure.
Okay. So it's very much out there. And this is what I'm going to approach you with. When you had your second daughter, you were particularly training for a competition.
Yeah, the French
and
Showdown.
once the French Showdown, is that what it was?
Yeah.
A French Showdown in France. Okay. So at that point, everybody in the community or followed you thought, oh, he just had a second kid. He's definitely not going to train anymore as much. He's not going to be able to compete. He's not going to be able to get into the French Throwdown because having a kid is just, you know, no joke, especially when they're newborn, sleeping and all that stuff. But you actually showed up, and you not only showed up to a high level, but you succeeded and you went to the French Throwdown. So what I want to talk about, and this has a lot to do with our project together, that ideology of like, hey, when I have a family, oh, I won't have time to do this and that. How do you manage to obviously run a successful business, run your fitness goals, and then be an amazing father and husband and so on and so forth? Like, how do you balance that? And that's the question I'm going to ask you, honestly, because I know like we're both kind of intense in so many different ways. And I want to know, how do you do it with that balance aspect that you're still able to perform at high levels, get the results you want, but still be there with your family?
Well, let's put it this way. Like, from the outside perspective, I still perform at a high level, but let's be honest, I'm at a lower level than what I was full time, right?
Okay.
At one point in my life, I was on the national team, and that's the only thing I would do. And I was performing at, let's say, my genetic potential. Like now, I think I'm a little bit below that. But the thing is, the thing that people, how do I still allow myself to perform like suboptimal, but like above what most of people will do, is that I am very aware that every single person that becomes a father, that like grows up and like has businesses and all this, will put their fitness in lower priority. And that just like makes me want, like I feel like, you know, it's like I'm like a shark smelling blood in the water. I'm like, this person is putting it in lower priority, so I'm just going to raise my priority on this because let's go. Like, it's my time to go. So that was exactly the point with the French Throwdown, where I could hear my buddies just say, oh, yeah, I'm going to finally beat you because now you have a newborn. And I was like, not so much, because that's going to go back high up in my priority. And how do you do this is you make it part of your life. I think that's what's super important. Like, for example, today, I'm skiing, you know, and so it's family day. That doesn't prevent me from like having a nice chat with you. And this morning at 6:30 to run like a fantastic workout for the platform. And so you just make it part of your day that, like, for me, the warm up is going to be the workout. Right. And it's okay. Like, my wife knows that I'm going to spend like 90% of the day with her and my kids, but I just need that 10% on my own. And I think that's totally not selfish or anything like this, right? It's the same thing as her. Like, right now she's she loves like sewing, and like, so she got all the machines and all this, and she's learning like with tutorials on YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, take an hour a day to do this. Like, I'll take care of the kids. I won't bug you. You know, it's fine. It's like 90% of the day you spend it with your family and business. And then like you have 10% that if you make it right, that priority is it's gonna still stay your priority, right? It's not because it's 10% of your day that it's only like 10% of your priority. It can be your top priority. You're just so much more effective than everyone else at doing it. Like, as long as it stays up there, that's a priority, right? That you're not gonna accept the myth that as you get older, you're less fit, and as you're a father, you have less time. It's like, that's not true. That's not true. Like, you know, that's that's excuses we make for ourselves to feel content with like mediocrity, right? I mean, it's like, honestly, I mean, that's the only way I see it.
So what you're
Like,
talking about over here is just being aware of your time management and understanding what percentage you're going to give to your workout, what percentage you're going to give to your family, and obviously split out throughout days and weeks. And just being aware that, hey, even if I have just 10% for this, I'm going to go hard at that 10% and have 90% of the time with my family. I'm going to go hard with that. Like, I'm going to be there. And as well, you did mention having hobbies like your wife meant, like you just mentioned with sewing and all that. So that's so many like interesting points. I'm definitely going to note it down. And like I said, when the time comes, I'm definitely going to come knock on your door and get more specific answers. I'm going to come with a pen and paper and be like, all right, how do you do this as a father? How do you do that with the father when it comes to staying at a high level and still having a family? So Matt, next thing I wanted to kind of talk about, I kind of teased it, and I thought we never actually announced a project that we've been working on together. And now it's been over 2 years that we've been working on it. And initially when we started, like you remember, Matt, we thought this was going to be at most a 6-month project, okay?
yeah.
And let me just go ahead and announce it. Essentially, me and Matt are co-authoring a book together. And I'm so blessed anyways that I'm co-authoring with Matt, and I think it's very reciproc as well. And without essentially giving the whole thing, like we don't even know necessarily the name yet, but it's going to be something that's a correlation between sports and business. So Matt obviously is very athletic. He knows a lot about sports, but he's a great businessman as well because of what he's learned within sports. And me, I'm definitely more of a businessman, but I'm extremely athletic as well, but it's not my main thing. So there is this common point that we kind of cross each other, which is that working out once a day, even though you do it a couple of times a day, as essentially I say that you're an athlete, like legit, you're a real athlete over here. And there's that middle ground. So we've been working on this book for over 2 years, and we're so excited to kind of bring it out. And it's been growing and growing. And I want to know your perspective. How do you feel this book has been changing you? And how do you perceive that this book could change the lives of the community and the target that we're trying to go get?
Honestly, the more I reflect on the book, the more we write the book, the more we reread it. And I think what it's going to bring to people is that we're going to decentralize where you can get knowledge type of thing. So usually it's very like, vertical. If you want to go in business, then you got to go to a business school. You're going to get an MBA. You're going to start a business, or you're going to work for like a firm, and it's really vertical. That's like, that's what you do. And you're not going to waste your time doing other stuff because that's specialization, right? And that's how our market right now seems to work, right? You specialize as a business in one thing and you don't waste your time doing other stuff. You outsource it. And so the book is mainly like showing me that it is not a waste of time for me to go skiing today, for example. It is not a waste of time for me to work out in the morning. It's not something that I try to squeeze in and is just to make me happy. It's something that actually makes me a better entrepreneur because I'm smart enough or lucky enough, I'd say. It's not even about being smart. Lucky enough that some people along the way showed me that you can learn from, sports in our case, and then apply it to other areas of your life. And it's really refreshing because it's the same thing too, like you talked about. I was an athlete, so I tried to go to the Olympics 4 times and I failed every single time, right? I didn't make it. And that could be like trying to start your business and going bankrupt 4 times. That's not something you're proud of, right? That's the way I see it. To some people from the outside, they're like, yeah, but you were at a high level. But no, it's like you went bankrupt 4 times. You're not proud of it.
But it is a part of the process, though.
But exactly, writing the book makes you realize, you know what? You should be proud of that because it allowed you to expose yourself to so many different situations that now shape the way you run a business and you run your life and you deal with prioritizing stuff. And like now I know how to, balance all these things. So I think that's what it's going to bring to the book, and it's definitely bringing to me some more awareness of the fact you're never wasting your time when you're doing something physical. And or we could go the route of like meditation, yoga, and all this also. Like, this is not only to sports. That's not what I'm saying. But at least in my life, sport has been a very big part of it. And now it's officially part of my education. I have no, I'm not ashamed of saying that, you know, that's what shaped me, or I'm not like shy to in front of another entrepreneur that would have an MBA or this and that. I'm like, yeah, I have a different education than you, but yeah, we can talk on the same level because I understand what you're talking about because I've lived it.
I mean, that is amazing. And you kind of, hit it really the nail on the head over there, explaining a bit what the concept is. And what you just said is that that aspect of working out or meditating or whatever, you may perceive that you're wasting your time and not giving time to your business, to your growth or your family, but it's actually the quite opposite. As you take care of this, it's going to help your business. You're going to be so much more better entrepreneur, father, brother, whatever the case is. And obviously we go into depth so much more. So it's really the correlation between the sports and business world and how it really is interjected in one the other. And obviously it's backed with some science research that we're putting in there. And as well, you did mention something when it comes to education, Matt, which was very interesting because you're like, hey, maybe before, maybe you had a different perception of somebody that had a certain degree and you didn't. Now you're in a position of like, hey, no, wait a minute. I could talk with anybody because their education is maybe different from mine, but it doesn't mean X, Y, and Z. And let's talk about that because I do know that, we're writing a book together, but you're somebody that reads a lot. And last year, you're actually the only person that in my network, in my surrounding, that actually read more than me. I read 52 books last year, which is one book a week. How many books did you read last year? Tell me about that, and what did you learn from that?
57.
57.
Yeah, 57. Or Chris plus 5.
Chris plus. Yeah, CrossFitters understand that. Chris plus 5. So here's the thing. Because every single time we have like weekly meetings on our books or whatever, we always start geeking out. Like the first 5 minutes is just automatic. Me, Matt, like we start geeking on what's the book you're reading? What do you think about that? If it's a book that he's read that I read, we kind of just go back and forth. And both of us actually do book reviews on YouTube. So you guys could definitely check that out as well. But here's the thing. As I know that I was like getting ready to kind of have this conversation with you on Friday Flow, something happened. There's a spark that came to me. Every time I have an idea, it kind of scares me, okay? And I'm explaining why. Such as like when I ran the marathon, I had an idea of like, I need to run the marathon. And I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to get ready for this marathon. Such as, oh, I'm gonna start this new business. I'm gonna leave my brokerage, go to speaking. I'm like, wait a minute, that's pretty big. That's scary as well. So I got an idea when I was getting ready for this. And it's a challenge, man, if you choose to accept it. And I'm afraid to kind of put this challenge out there because I know how you are. I'm gonna challenge you and I know you're gonna go hard on this if you accept, and I'm just gonna do the same. And this might be a bit crazy. Here's my challenge, okay? Yeah, you're laughing. It's EMOM. Not EMOM. It's what is EMOM is every minute on the minute. What's the other one? Max reps as possible. What's the
AMRAP?
AMRAP theory. Thank you so much for being a CrossFitter. So AMRAP, 365 days, as many as books you could finish, you against me. What do you say? So here's the framework. I know you're rubbing your head. As I thought of it, I'm like, shit, this is gonna be stupid. This is gonna be stupid because I'm like, now we have a challenge and we're gonna push each other. We could either do it from 2021. So whatever you did in the beginning of the year, I don't know what your number is. I'll tell you what my number is, where I'm at, how many books I've read from the end of the year, or we could do it starting from now, or we could do it until the end of the year, and I will tell each other what our numbers are. We minus it starting from this point. First of all, do you accept? And if so, we'll frame it and we'll come back and let us know where we're at with that. What do you think?
Oh, for sure, I accept. I love challenges, like after what I said about the Open, I gotta accept that stuff. So
let's build a framework. How do you want to do this? Do you want to do it since the beginning of the year, whatever book you read, where you put it inside, or you want us to start 0 until the end of the year, or 365 days from this day, which today we're the 5th of March?
Whatever you want, man. You put the challenge, you put the rules. I'm constantly varied, ready for the known and the unknown.
Okay, cool. Let me tell you how many books I'm at right now in the year. I want to know how much you are, and that's kind of going to guide us, see where we're at with
I would have to double check that because I've been doing a lot of summaries, so I don't think I'm at 1 a week right now. I need to go double check. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'd be at less than 1 a week. Right now.
A bit less than 1 a week. Okay, yeah. So how many weeks? We're 8. So you would probably be anywhere between 8 to 10?
Yeah, maybe closer to 8, I think, because I start to tackle really big books like the Life and Time of Einstein, all this, and it's like 700 pages and all this. So I'd say like probably around 8, but I would need to double check.
Okay, cool. Okay, so right now, I'm at 14 books, and like you said, it kind of varies. I had some big books, I had some smaller books, so whatever. And we're not gonna validate here how many books, like what are the size of the books you went. Like it's ça va
Yeah,
aller de bonne foi, so whatever the case is. So let's say from this
I'm
point
fine. I'm
on,
fine with starting with a handicap. That's okay.
they want no. I don't want this to be like, yo, oh, wait, you have this many ahead, you planned it ahead, you no. So this is the way we're gonna do it. Starting from this day, any book you're reading. So if you haven't finished it, that's okay. It'll count. Starting from now, so March 5th to the end of the year 2021, as many as books as we could finish. And we're comparing, like I said, it doesn't matter what the size are, it doesn't matter how you consume it towards the way you do it, audiobook,
Yeah, yeah,
reading,
yeah.
or whatever. Just I think it'll just be a good little challenge, and let's
Love
just
it.
see what it's gonna be.
Love it.
Done?
Yeah,
Like I
love
said,
it.
I'm a bit scared because for that to happen, I know how much you read, and it's gonna help. Like it's gonna make me like push my limits. And one of my goals within this is, I don't know if you ever do this, but I've never done it. I've never sat down and finished a book in one sitting. And I
I've
don't know if
never
you've
done
done
that.
it. If
No.
okay, so I want to learn how to do that. And I'm gonna like imagine if I had like 4 hours to sit down and be like, all right, cool. I'm gonna dedicate 4 hours in a day to
Whoa,
finish one book.
that's
That's my goal.
okay. That's next level. I've never
That
done
is
that,
next
but I
level.
like it. But I like it.
But I think you're not too far from that either, Matt. Think about it.
No, that's
Average
true.
book, let's say, is 300 pages, okay? That's going to take you, like an average reader, probably 6 hours to read that. Let's say average, all right? And now if you're reading fast and if you're able to, do some techniques that you've learned as well,
Well, I mean,
you
I'm
could,
reading fast compared to myself, right? I'm reading normal
yes.
now.
Okay, fair enough. But let's say like an average 300-page book, how long does it take you to read that?
300 word a minute.
300 word a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. So it 300 word a minute. So what are we
I'm
talking
not
about?
100% sure what that is, but that's probably close to 4 or 5 hours.
That's okay. So that's what I thought. So let's say, so I think more than anything, to sit down and read a book to 4 to 5 hours is not the fact that you could do it or you can't. It's how to do it that you won't get tired and you'll continue stimulating yourself. So for me, like one of my goals, I said it. I'm like, hey, I want to be able to do at least one or two books like that a year. And you don't have to pick a 300 pager either. You could start with a 200 pager, but to be like from beginning to end to finish a book. So I think that's why, as I'm challenging you with this, it's going
I
to
have
help
a
me grow
question
to
with
that.
this because one of my goals this year, does that count? And that's okay because one of my goals this year was to reread some books that I read like more than
That
5 years
counts.
ago.
That
Yeah.
counts. So that's what I was thinking as well, because I'm like, as I'm gonna, because for me, for the rest of my life, I think you as well, I'm gonna be able to read one book a week. God willing, I'll hold that. But then I'm like, you know what? I want to add some books that I've previously read that I want to reread because obviously, if you read it a year ago or 2 years ago, when you're going to read it now, you're going to receive different information. You're at a different point within your life. You've developed your mind to a different level. So it's super important to read other books. I was saying, if I read constantly 52 books a year, and those are new books, and I add 8 books that I've loved and I want to reread, I'm like, I'll be at 60 books a year. I'm like, that could be possible. But for that to happen, I have to learn new techniques. This is why I wanted to kind of challenge you and essentially grow together to really read and go to the next level.
I like it.
Let's go. All right, so it's in the books. Matthieu Dubreucq, once again, brother, thank you for being on Friday Flow. And as well, I just want to thank you, man, for doing this amazing journey of like co-authoring a book with me. I had no idea that what we were diving into. I think we both approach it extremely naively. We're both not good writers. We have an amazing writing coach in Greg that helps us, that structures us, but it made us grow. And yeah, I'm just so excited for God willing, sooner than later, we'll be able to present. I call it this baby because I'm like, we're creating something there, and it's this baby that we're going to present to the world, and hopefully you'll bring some value.
Here
So
we go.
Matt,
You're
once
gonna be a
again,
father.
I'm going to be a father. I'm going to be a father. Either way, whatever happens, I'm going to be a father. I like that analogy. I like that. So once again, Matt, listen, thank you for taking the time, brother. Go have fun with your family, ski, and we'll be speaking very soon.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. This was great.
All right. Speak to you soon. Ciao, ciao.
See ya.